Hello Realtors, Happy New Year and welcome to the first SCR update of 2026. This is your go-to source for what's happening in the world of real estate and how it impacts you and your business. This is episode number 380 and today is January 5th, 2026. And as always, I'm happy to be your host, Nick Kremydas, CEO of the South Carolina Realtors. I hope that you all had a fantastic holiday break. I know for a lot of us here, today feels a little like the first day of school, shaking off that holiday fog and, maybe a little bit of, ready to get back to the office nerves last night. But honestly, there's a lot of positive energy out there right now, and it feels a little bit different than it did this time last year. And producer Mike, I know a lot of our members work straight through the holidays, so they didn't get a lot of that time off that I know that some of us enjoyed over the last couple of weeks. So to all your realtors who kept that American dream alive over the holidays, thank you for your commitment and doing what you continue to do year-round. Oftentimes, holidays are our members' busiest times. So, there is a strong sense that 2025 was kind of our grit year, right? And 2026 is certainly looking to be our stabilization year. Now, I'm not going to do what you've seen on probably 100 other podcasts or real estate talk programs or talk shows or whatever they're called, Mike. We're not going to do our, top 10 news stories from 2025 or look at our predictions for the new year. But I do want to talk briefly about a couple of things that we are expecting. Now, as I mentioned, we're expecting a much more normalized market going into this new year. So I've had my coffee. Oh, I just dropped my mic. That's a great way to start the program. But, I've had my coffee this morning. Obviously, hope you grabbed your coffee, and let's shake off the holidays and jump straight into what you need to know for this week. First, let's talk a little bit about the market outlook. This is what I call boring is good. If I had to summarize the national forecast in one word, it would be stabilization. After the volatility of the last 2 years, boring is not such bad news. NAR and other major analysts are projecting a steady climb in existing home sales in the 10 to 13% range, higher or above last year. And why is that? It's because the lock-in effect is finally thawing. Sellers who have to move are accepting the new normal, and that means we should finally see some relief on inventory. Now, let's take a reality check on what interest rates are doing. We started the year with 30-year fixed hovering in the low sixes, which is the lowest it's been in the last 12 months. And the consensus for 2026 certainly isn't a free fall back to 4 or the 3% rates that we saw in the recent past, but we are expecting a slow drift downward. We need to be coaching our clients that marry the house, date the rate is a retired concept. The new narrative should be stability over volatility, and a stable 6% is certainly better for planning than a volatile 7%. And the third thing that I kind of wanted to highlight for you today is that there is a big legal date on the calendar for January. January 14th is one to mark on your calendars. That's the day that oral arguments for the appeal in the major commission lawsuits, Sitzler-Burnett case, are scheduled. While I certainly don't expect a ruling immediately, these are oral arguments. The court will then convene and decide on how they're going to rule. The industry chatter on this topic has been very heavy over the last couple of weeks, and we'll likely see some prognostications, some folks trying to predict what the courts are going to do. And we'll have a better idea based on the questions that are asked during the hearing, and I'm assuming some of that's going to get put out into the ether here after the hearing. So my advice to you is, listen, there are folks that have said, hey, the court could overturn the settlement, take it back to trial court, basically starting all over again. That would create so much chaos, and I don't even want to think about that. And frankly, I don't think that's a real possibility. The arguments, the briefs that have been filed in opposition to the settlement all have to do with money. The money that the lawyers are getting, the money that the plaintiffs are getting, and that is too out of whack. Basically, the actual sellers are not getting enough, and the lawyers are getting too much. That's kind of the basis of a lot of the objections to the settlement. So at worst, I think the court, orders the defendants and the plaintiffs to renegotiate the settlement, the dollar amount, not the practice changes, and at best, the appeal panel lets the settlement move forward and finalizes it once and for all. So keep your heads down, do what you do best, focus on your value proposition. It's important that you understand what's going on in the courtroom, but it's not something you need to worry about every single day. We will certainly keep you updated as we get closer next week. Hopefully I'll have updates for you then as well. And remember again, the outcome isn't being challenged, it's the terms of the settlement, and that's what I expect to be argued next week. So certainly we'll have an update for you on that as the news comes out. So let's get into our newest segment on SCR Update, Don't Do That. Welcome to Don't Do That, where we highlight the common mistakes, ethical slip-ups, risky business practices that you need to avoid. From compliance headaches to client horror stories, we're here to keep you out of hot water. So let's dive right in. Today we're going to focus again on it seems like a repeating topic on Don't Do That, but again, etiquette and professionalism, and I've got some behaviors here that we're going to talk about that drive your fellow realtors crazy and potentially expose you to liability. So let's get right into it. So here's the setup. We always say, you've heard me say this a million times if you've heard me say it once, that nothing is private on the internet, right? Everything you do can end up on someone's social media account. Well, one agent is learning that the hard way in what I'm calling the TikTok courtroom. And the story is a pretty simple one. There's this drama unfolding in California where a seller has taken to TikTok to roast their agent. Now, she's posting videos alleging that the agent exposed certain private financial information in the MLS private remarks, and this has resulted in offers tanking and the seller not able to move their property as they had hoped. Now, whether the seller is right or wrong doesn't even matter anymore. These videos have millions of views. The agent is fighting back legally, but the reputation damage is already done. It's a real mess. So a reminder, keep sensitive financial information like bankruptcies, divorces, etc., strictly confidential unless authorized by your client. If a relationship goes south, de-escalate offline immediately. Do not fight with your clients in the comments section. You will lose every time. And remember, that's South Carolina law, South Carolina statute, specifically 40-57-350, requires you to keep confidential information. It requires you to keep information confidential if it might have a negative impact on your client's real estate activity. Examples, their motivation to sell, their willingness to accept a lower price, or even a tight timeline. Remember, the duty of confidentiality does not end with the listing agreement. It carries forward, and the law only provides with very limited exceptions. So the takeaway from today, Do not give a client ammo to become your main character on their TikTok account. Remember, realtors, don't disclose confidential information. Remember, don't do that. All right, so now before I let you go, realtors, we have a few big dates coming up. January is always leadership training month. We have hired Adorna Carroll, trainer extraordinaire. If you've never worked with Adorna, you've got that opportunity this January. We're hosting in-person training for our Leadership Academy and Executive Committee next week, actually, here in Columbia. And at the end of the month, on January 26th, we've invited all local association leadership to participate in virtual leadership training with Adorna Carroll. Now, this virtual training includes everything from Robert's rules to how to conduct an effective meeting. And so whether it's your first time serving on a committee or you've chaired this committee multiple times, I promise you, you will have some great takeaways from Adorna's presentation. Our big legislative event, Capitol Conference, is coming up. This is going to be March 3rd and 4th. You'll soon see registration information. We are going to be back at the Capitol this year. Super excited to be in the lobby, in the thick of things with all of our members. I hope you can make it this year. Please make plans to attend. And speaking of the Capitol, don't forget that the second half of the legislative session begins next week. We're keeping a close eye on insurance, HOA reform, short-term rental legislation, and many other bills. Lindsay Hutto, our chief lobbyist, will be providing you with weekly updates starting with session next week. And our producer here, Mike, will take his show on the road to the State House because he also produces those videos for SCR as well, and looking forward to those legislative updates. So, realtors, 2026 is here, and it's here for the taking. The buyers are waking up, sellers are coming off the sidelines, and I know you are ready to get to work. So let's make it a great first week of the new year. Here's wishing you and your loved ones health, happiness, and prosperity in the new year. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you again next week. Take care, everyone.